Chapter 1. Aiden Kearney stalked along the gritty sidewalk on Longwood Avenue, his head down. It was late, and he wanted to be home, in bed, preferably with some woman, but if not with a woman, at least asleep. The day had been a long one, and his body and head were exhausted, but he was restless and keyed up as well, looking for some kind of quick release. A bad combination. It made him edgy and uncomfortable in his own skin. He knew if he wanted, he could find something on the street that would take the edge off, make him relax. That was one of the great things about New York. Pretty much anything you wanted, someone was selling or offering. Except that was a line he wasn't willing to cross, for many reasons. One of those reasons was the person responsible for his current mental and physical exhaustion. Other reasons lived within his past. People and events he'd tried hard to forget, but never quite managed to put entirely behind him. Maybe that was the curse of not falling victim to the same lifestyle they had. He wasn't going to repeat it, but he was powerless to forget. Frank, his trainer at the gym, had put him through his paces, working Aiden harder than he usually did, pushing him, yelling at him when he let up, when he tried to cut corners, when he asked for a break. It pissed him off when Frank wouldn't stop. But as angry as it made him, that anger served a purpose. It fueled him, kept him going. His trainer was the only person who could get away with making Aiden angry and not suffer for it. Frank was the only person Aiden respected enough to let him pull that kind of thing. Frank's the only one who understands. Even with that, there were still things about Aiden even Frank didn't know that Aiden hadn't trusted him with. Stuff that was no one's business. Things that were just too painful to bring to the forefront. Aiden scoffed. The old guy probably already knew anyway. Most of the kids who went through his gym were running from the same past. Still, Aiden wasn't interested in opening up about the shit that haunted him, even with his most trusted friend. As he walked along, he thought about the upcoming fight. It was still a couple of months down the road, an eternity since he couldn't wait for the matchup. There were scouts, Frank said, who'd be there, guys who could take him on to bigger matches, gigs with payouts, and a chance to fight professionally, get him out of the amateur underground scene. No guarantees, but just maybe, if he worked hard enough. The rest was left unsaid. His head came up suddenly, his senses on high alert. He heard something ahead, sounds of a confrontation. Fights in the Bronx were a dime a dozen, especially now that it was warm, and he'd certainly been enough of them to recognize the sound of one. He heard a woman's cry, maybe more than one, high-pitched and scared. Men's voices raised in aggression. Probably just a pimp and his girl. Except it wasn't a pimp. As he made his way around the corner, his eyes swept over the scene. A small knot of people stood in the street. 3 well-dressed young women and 2 rugged punks. One tall, dark-haired, skinny guy and a shorter, heavier one with lighter hair. Aiden didn't recognize any of them, and he knew most of the pimps, hookers, and street rats in this neighborhood. Hell, he was one of them. But these guys weren't part of the neighborhood, and his exhaustion was instantly gone in a rush of fiery adrenaline, because they were sure as hell interested in the women. Women who definitely weren't hookers. They were far too well-dressed and looked far too afraid to be working the streets, especially this street. Something told him if the men got their way, it wouldn't end well for those 3. Aiden didn't care whether they were after money or something else. He simply followed on instinct, the instinct that told him to dive in with his fists first and ask questions later. He moved in quietly, lightly, a slight bounce to his step, gaze tracking their motions as he approached. It happened so quickly that no one in the circle even saw it coming. The skinny guy received a blow to his midsection that doubled him over, gasping for breath. He fell to his knees before tumbling hard to his side like a demolished building. Aiden stepped around him, eyes already on Blondie. Aiden had lost the element of surprise, and Blondie turned on him, ready to fight. What Aiden had thought in the dim light was just a pudgy gut and nothing to worry about turned out to be a wall of muscle.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.